welcome to the BSP Software podcast channel. My name is Andrew Weiss, and today I'm going to show you a feature that's kind of off the beaten path in the Find Replace module. There's a feature in there to update drill-through targets in reports. This can be very useful when you're moving a lot of reports and they're still pointing to old reports and you want to update the drill-through targets in bulk. It can also be very useful in saving a lot of tedious work in fixing your drill-through targets in respect to the parameters. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's head over to the Report Studio interface and load up a report. Okay, over here in Report Studio I have the drill test report, and you can see in my product type column I've defined a drill through definition. So I have a look at that. Currently it's pointing at the prompt target report, which is in the _AD folder. And you can see down below I've got a parameter set. Let me come over to MetaManager for a quick second. I'll show you what we want to do. It's just a little easier to look at it in this tree. So currently the report is pointing at this prompt target report, but I need to change it to point at this one in the _DM folder. Okay, back over in Report Studio, the way I would do that is simply hit the ellipse over here, navigate to that DM folder, that's where our new one is, and select prompt target and say OK. The problem is my parameters window is now empty. Okay, so by changing the report that I'm pointing against, the parameters have to be redefined. But in my case, it's the same exact report, and there's a lot of parameters. One here, but you can imagine if you had 12 or 15 or quite a lot of them, and a lot of work went into setting them up, you don't want to lose that information, certainly if you're doing this in bulk. So I'm going to cancel out of this. We're going to do it in MetaManager, and we'll see how that information is retained. Okay, over in MetaManager, I'm in the Find and Replace module. The first thing I want to do is get the report that I'm working on. So it was called Drill Test, and we just search for it, drag it over to the top pane. So the top pane are the things that we're going to work on, and the bottom pane is the changes that we're going to make to those reports. In the location section on a Find and Replace entry, there's a number of areas that we can reach. So we can look in the data items, we can look at HTML items, usually for fixing JavaScript, image paths, updating package references, the entire spec. Well, drill through items is another area that we scope to. Now, when you're looking at the drill through items, currently the report is pointing to a search path, and I want it to point to another one. That can be a little cumbersome to try to type in by hand. So instead of you trying to type it in by hand, we give you a shortcut. You can take the report that you want to, either report, either the one that you're currently pointing at or the one that you're going to point at. Either one, drag that to the bottom pane. Okay? Let's remove our first entry that we got in there by accident. So what this is saying is that I'm going to look in the report and I'm going to search for the drill through entry /content, that's public folders, folder with a name equals DM, and the report is prompt target. And I'm going to replace that text with the exact same thing, with a folder name equals DM. So the shortcut that I showed you that dragging this report over, it filled in the search path for this report in both the search and the replace entry. Now one of those is right and the other one's wrong. In this case, since I dragged the target, the replace text is right, but the search text is wrong. Okay, so we want to actually go ahead and find out what this one is. And I can do that by right-clicking on the prompt target, hit Properties, come down and get that search path, copy it and paste it in there. Okay, so the shortcut got me half of the way there, and the other half you kind of have to do by hand. By dragging the shortcut down, it filled in one of these entries and it selected drill through item for me. Certainly you could type it in all by hand by just right-clicking and selecting search path. But at this point, we have our search entry set up and it's specific for this report. We're going to go and look in this report, and if it's pointing at the AD folder, change it to point to the DM folder. So let me hit preview and we'll take a look at our work. Okay, great. So it says that it was impacted and it believes it made a change, but let's diff the changes just to verify it's doing exactly what we want it to do. Alright, so we see an edit down here in this line. Scroll over, it's kind of a long line. There it is. Okay, so we can see the path for the drill through target that was pointing at the AD folder is now pointing at the DM folder. Now I'm ready to hit update, but before I hit update, I think I should make a backup of this report just in case I make a mistake. So I'm going to come up on the toolbar and hit the Create a Backup button. That's going to bring me over to the Find and Replace module, and it's going to preload the interface for what I'm currently doing in the Find and Replace module. So it selected the drill test report, and it filled in the commentary with everything that I'm currently working on. So all I have to do is specify a file name and hit go. Okay, great. My drill test report's backed up. Let's go over to the Find and Replace module, and now I'm going to hit the Update button to commit my changes. Okay, so now we need to verify them. Back over in Report Studio, we're going to reopen this report. It's in the Go Sales and Retailers folder. Drill test. And now if we right-click and look at the drill-through definitions, we can see two things. The prompt target that it's currently pointing at is in the DM folder. So we've successfully mapped it or changed it from the AD folder to the DM folder. And more importantly, we can see that the parameters box is still intact. So all of the hard work that went into the action, the format, the parameters, that stuff's going to be retained. We don't have to worry about redoing all of that work. So not only can we do this in bulk on many reports, but we can do it in bulk and retain all of that work in the parameters. I'm going to come back over to Find and Replace and just point out one more thing. We, for our search for text, and let's pull these into Notepad here, just because I think it'll be a little bit clearer to look at this in a text file above them, on top of each other. So we were looking for drill-through targets specifically to this report in the AD folder and replacing it with this report in the DM folder. You may, in your scenario, be a little bit more generic in that, well, we have many reports in the AD folder and many subfolders, and essentially we've renamed that or we've moved that to another folder structure somewhere else. I might be able to shorten this and generalize this search path a little bit and say, okay, if any part of the drill-through item points to something in the AD folder, go ahead and replace that with something that points to the DM folder. So I might be able to get further reach and not have to have too many entries in Find and Replace and fix a larger part of my environment. Well, that concludes the podcast. Hope you learned a thing or two. Keep the good tickets coming in. As with most of our podcasts, this one also came right out of our support system. Thank you very much.